much. So, as mentioned, we are called Cello Fury, and we did get our start when we were studying here in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon and Duquesne universities. And we were looking for something a little bit different after getting our degrees. We wanted to try to combine our love of classical music, of course, but also add a more progressive rock sound. So we got together, and our first gig was actually at the UC. And we've evolved a lot since then, from playing cover songs to original music. We're going to play a lot of that original stuff for you today. But first, I want to introduce everybody up on stage before we play another piece. And maybe we can each tell you a little bit about our background. Since I have the mic, I guess I'll go first. My name is Nicole Myers. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I've been playing cello all my life. I have 2 degrees, a bachelor's and a master's from CMU. And in addition to performing, I also do management for the band.
Hi, my name's Simon, and I got my bachelor's here 6 years ago. And I'm from Pittsburgh, and along with performing, I help write music for the band. And I didn't get a composition degree, but I did take composition classes here at CMU, and there's really awesome composition teachers here that if you end up here, you'll hopefully meet them.
I'm Ben Munoz. I went to Duquesne University, got my bachelor's there, and like Simon, I do the other half of the writing for the band. And I didn't get a composition degree there, but I took some composition classes, had some lessons, and yeah, I said that, I think. That's all. There's not much to me, so don't worry about it.
Can you hear me? Yeah. My name is Dave Throckmorton. I'm from the Pittsburgh area. I didn't go the college route. I went for a little bit and ended up leaving. I've been playing professionally since my teens, which is a long time ago now. And I play with Cello Fury and tons of other rock bands and jazz groups, and toured all over the world.
So now that you guys know who we are, we're going to play some more music, and we're also going to show you some of the techniques we use to bridge the gap between our classical training and how we apply it to make more of a modern rock sound. And you're going to hear some of that in this next piece called Never Done. the first two pieces were a little bit more rock-oriented, but some of our music does sound a bit more classical, and our influences range from composers like Shostakovich and Beethoven and Sibelius to a lot of the great rock bands, but also to film scores, and they provide a lot of inspiration for us. And this next piece is a little bit more on that side of things, more like you might hear in a film score, sort of reflective of the classical lyrical lines, but also with some rhythmic drive to it. And this piece is called Pathos. Thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we bridge the gap between classical and rock. And all of this, like Stephen Neely mentioned, it took a little bit of initiative on our part because when we studied classical music, our teachers weren't teaching us how to play rock on cello. So we kind of had to be creative and use our experience in listening to music and playing other instruments like bass guitar, piano, etc., and try to apply it to cello. So we're just going to show you how we break down a song and give a role for each of the cellos. So you've probably noticed already that we get to swap parts, the melody and the harmony and the bass part. So throughout any given piece, one of us is not stuck with that same role. So we usually build it from the ground up with a part that emulates the bass guitar of a regular rock band. And we use a lot of parallel fifths and power chords to kind of give it that open rock sound. And maybe Simon or Ben could demonstrate a couple riffs for you guys. So even when we play that really low part, we're not using a lot of processing. We do have a direct box, but we don't use any distortion. So we do that all naturally with extended techniques, ponticello, and that sort of thing. Then the other cello is doing a melody part, which is, of course, higher up in the register of the cello. And it really works great for the cello because of the range. You can go really low and really high. So here's an example of a melodic part. And then in the middle, the third cellist either has a rhythmic guitar part, which is kind of repetitive, centered around maybe 3 or 4 notes, or a counter melody. And I would say when we perform, probably about 95% of the music is the same every time. It's written out like a classical score, although Simon and Ben like to deviate from that and just kind of make up stuff, which keeps things interesting. But Dave gets to, every time he plays, he just knows the time signature and the format, the verses and choruses, and he can kind of change things up every time we play, which makes things really interesting for us. So that's how we put together our version of a rock song on cellos and drums. And we're going to play one of our heavier pieces for you guys next. This is a little bit more metal than the last piece. This one is called Turmoil. So who here is a string player? What? Wait, what? How about violin specifically, and viola, cello, bass? Nice. And who's brass? Sweet. Percussion? Ooh, and winds? Any vocal majors? Oh, nice. Cool, cool. So the next thing that we're going to talk about applies a little bit more to the string players, because we're going to talk about some extended techniques you can do on the cello, violin, viola, and bass. But I think it's similar in any instrument grouping. You can find ways of going past the traditional way of playing and apply that to make a different kind of a sound. So of course, you guys know all the basic stuff, glissandos and slides, and collegno using the stick of the wood. Maybe we'll just show you that, just in case you're not a string player. There's also some effects you can do by varying the pressure of holding down the strings and also the pressure of the bow. And you can cause a lot of distortion, but distortion on purpose if you play around with that. Maybe Simon can show you. So that's all done naturally with, you can do that even without having any amplification. Of course, there's the basic pizzicato, which we're going to show you in the next piece. And sometimes we also use percussion on the cello itself to kind of bring out some different qualities of the instrument. So there's lots of different things that we've learned to kind of throw into our repertoire to make it a little more interesting. And this next piece is a little bit different from all the other ones you've heard. This one's called Pins and Needles. It's an all pizzicato piece. And Dave's also going to be doing some different techniques on the drums. And he's going to talk to you after this piece about how his role is similar or different from playing in a normal rock band. So here's Pins and Needles. right, so we're going to pass the mic back to Dave, and he's going to enlighten you on everything drum related.
Hi guys. So my thing really back here isn't any different than if you were to see me playing with a rock band. Like Nicole talked about a bit, you know, someone's covering bass, somebody's playing a melody, like a singer, you know, and someone's playing a guitar part or a keyboard part, and I'm just playing the part of the drummer, but I'm playing it on the drums. So it doesn't change that much. They write the material, a lot of it is arranged in a normal rock song format. You know, maybe it's more, you know, there's an introduction that has a certain length to it, a verse, maybe a chorus, another verse, maybe a double chorus, a bridge, some kind of a breakdown or something, and then maybe a double chorus out, something like that. And like Nicole said, I can improvise a little more in this band. So, you know, where I might be playing a halftime groove one day, the next day I might play a double time or triple time or, you know, whatever. I might play the tom-toms or a cowbell or the rims. I can kind of do my thing as long as I make it work and I listen and I'm trying to be musical and apply just all the skills I've, you know, put together over the years. It really doesn't feel like I'm playing in a band with 3 cellists all the time. I mean, that's obvious and it's there and you see it and you hear it, but sometimes if Ben changes a bass line or Simon or Nicole, it just feels like I'm playing in a rock band and you're hooking up with the bass player as if they were playing an electric bass. So I think a lot of the improvisational background I have from playing jazz and creative music like helps, and I can bring different things to the table, but I'm really just playing the role of a drummer in a rock band back here.
So I'm assuming if you guys are here for music pre-college, you're all considering careers in music. Raise your hand if you are. Awesome. So I thought we could talk to you a little bit about how we kind of veered off into this path. We all have, you know, the 3 cellists have classical training, and when we went to college, we weren't thinking like we were gonna be in a rock band for our careers. And I got actually through my master's degree before I really realized that this was something that I liked to do. And it was a risk, and we didn't have as many gigs at the time, and we were still growing. But I loved playing in this band that much that I decided to not take orchestra auditions and not have a full-time teaching studio and just go with performing. And we have been able to play roughly 100 shows per year. We've traveled in 25 states, and in a week from today, we're actually flying to Alaska for a tour that's going to last a week and a half. We've played with the Pittsburgh Symphony Pops and Marvin Hamlish. We've played for the halftime show of the Steelers in Heinz Field, and from concert halls to the dirtiest bars you can ever imagine. Just a wide range of places, and because the cello is acceptable to a lot of people as a classical instrument, but also a rock instrument, it gives us the opportunity to play in so many different venues and gigs. So we can throw on a tux and play for the Pittsburgh Symphony Association, and then we can put on spandex pants and go play in a biker bar. So, and we can play the same music, maybe, you know, cutting down the headbanging a little bit, depending on who we're playing for. But it's a really versatile instrument, and so we took that risk, and I think that it's paying off for us, and we really love doing what we do. So no matter what, we hope that you guys just keep working hard and find your niche and your area that you can shine in, even if it's not the most typical thing. I think our cello teachers were a little bit shocked at first when we told them that we were going to be doing this and not going for orchestra jobs, but I think now we've probably convinced them that this was a good choice, and we hope that you guys are able to find that kind of outlet with your music too, whether it's more traditional or more abstract like we do. So I think we're going to play, let's see, 2 more pieces for you, and then at the very end of the show we're going to have a Q&A period, so you guys can ask some questions. So we're going to play a piece called Chain Reaction, which is brand new, and then we're going to have a little interlude of a drum solo, and we're going to finish with a piece that's called Symphony of Shadows. today. And we have a couple minutes left, and we're wondering if you guys have any questions for us. We have some postcards with our website and CDs if anybody's interested in those too. All right. Yeah.
How often do you rehearse?
We rehearse. It really depends. We rehearse the most when we have new music to learn. But some of these pieces we've played for so long, we've played together for so long that we might only rehearse like once or twice a week. Sometimes when we're on the road and we're playing every day, we don't rehearse because we're playing so constantly. There's almost no time. Anybody else? Yeah.
A lot of times when you guys are playing, I can see like a lot of times you're smacking your hand or thumb on the fingerboard. What kind of sound does that make? Because I know you guys went over like percussive sounds on the body of the cello, but what about like over the strings and whatnot?
Oh, like I was doing it at the end of. Oh, I know. This is never done. It's like the. It's just like an extra rhythm thing that I don't know. I just kind of do it. There's no real like rhyme or reason behind it, but it adds a little like kind of subdivision, but like intentional subdivision, and then there's like a finger tapping kind of thing too. More like probably like a nervous twitch stuff.
Anybody else? Yeah. This is like a full-time thing for us. Yeah. It's a J-O-B, right? So we perform lots of shows every year, and we also do a lot of outreach. But we do all have private students, so I would say like maybe 2 days of the week we teach privately. Ben also plays cello for Point Park University, and Dave, as he mentioned, plays with lots of other bands. Simon plays with Alia Musica, which is a contemporary music ensemble, and also Renaissance Works, which is another local group. But primarily, we perform. We usually reserve Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the band. We kind of are based in Pittsburgh for the early part of the week. But when we have to go on the road for 2 weeks at a time, we have to clear our schedule so we can do that. Yeah. When did we decide we wanted to do music as a career? Just music in general, probably pretty early on in middle school and high school.
I was like a senior in high school.
Ben said he was a senior in high school. I knew I wanted to be a musician in middle school, but I think what we didn't know was that we were going to be playing this kind of music. I think I'm a little bit more classically grounded. It took me a longer time to cross over to playing rock music and having the freedom to like get up and stand up and headbang and all that stuff. Ben and Simon, that comes a little bit more naturally to them. Simon grew up playing in rock bands, actually singing and doing drums and bass guitar, so he had a little more experience in the rock realm, and Ben did as well, playing in some Irish rock bands back home where he's from. Yeah.
Kansas City.
Apocalyptica.
Nice guys.
We got to hang out with them, and they were really nice. And they're like the forerunners of cello rock. They're a lot more metal than we are. They use a lot more distortion and processing, and we choose to make the cello still sound like a cello. If you listen to the styles of the music, it's very different. It looks similar because there's like 3 cellos with long hair and a drum, drums, but the music itself, like if you compare your average rock band to another rock band, they look like they have the same instrumentation, but it's really kind of different. So I like to say we're similar to them, but we're not trying to copy what they're doing, we're trying to create something different. Yeah.
Has your hair interfered with your playing ever?
Yeah, that's a legit question.
Yeah.
You get it tangled in the pegs, you start bowing it if your head's down. It's good like training to make stuff upright so you don't bow your hair.
And Simon's showing you one where we got out of that. He has a key that he uses to tune his pegs. So it only has 2 pegs on the left. And that way he can stand up and not get his hair trapped in the pegs. And that happens to me all the time. We've had some interesting minor catastrophes with sound equipment or hair getting stuck or bows getting tangled in fine tuners, and strings breaking on stage, but you just have to roll with it.
Yeah, I think we're the only people that have ever like broken a C string repeatedly.
Yeah, Simon breaks his C string like every 3 months, and it's usually at a
I don't
show.
think you've ever done it, but it hasn't been like the final note of a song.
I've like never broken a C
It's
string.
amazing.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Have you guys ever worked with vocalists?
Yes.
We have, not with the primary form of the group, but for some special events, we've had some local folks sing with us.
We've also never sang our songs. We've always played on theirs. We never had anybody
Like
humming along to whatever, one of ours.
It would be cool. You mentioned Apocalyptica. They've had definitely some success doing albums where they bring in famous singers from other bands and they do their songs, and that really helps with their CD sales. So who knows? If in the future that comes up, we probably consider it. We're pretty much open to trying anything and working with lots of different groups. We've done work with dance ensembles and theaters and just kind of trying to branch out and work with other people in the arts has been really helpful for us too, for shows. Yeah.
What were the biggest struggles you faced in your pursuit of the music career?
We've definitely faced a lot of struggles. Some of them we can't even tell you about, but it's been being a professional musician, even if you're in a classical, just strictly the classical realm, it's really hard. You're taking a chance no matter what. If you're going to be a professional musician, you have to work your butt off to make it work, and doing a lot in the beginning just for exposure and getting your name out, and learning by making mistakes and then fixing them and trying to be on the ball. And one thing I have to say, I think our classical training and the discipline that we had really has helped us in the rock world be like organized and knowing how to talk to people and promote ourselves. But if I had to go back to college, I think one thing I would definitely do, which you guys might want to consider, is looking into some music marketing, because that can be really helpful for yourself or for a job with marketing other people.
On the subject of learning stuff in college while you have the chance, it's important that you guys don't just focus on practicing all the time, as much as your teachers probably hate me to say that. The chances of you winning an orchestra audition are very slim, and so you have to keep your options open and do lots of other things in music, like work on music arranging. Ear training sounds like one of the most boring things, but it's incredibly important. We've been asked so many times, hey, can you arrange this song? We're going to pay you this much money. And if you don't have that training, then you're going to be stuck. And so all those things come in handy if you can really pool all your resources, composition, pay attention to music theory. If you guys end up majoring in music school, don't just spend all your time on your instrument, because very few people actually only play their instrument for their living. They do a lot of teaching. Try teaching some kids when you're in college. It's really a good experience.
So I think we're actually a little bit over time, but we'd love to answer any more questions, or if you guys want to come up and talk to us, feel free to do that. Some of you may have to go, and we'd love to give you guys a postcard. You can find us on all the social media sites. So thank you again. We're Cello Fury, and hopefully you can come up and say hi.